if you want to learn Roblox Studio, then this video is for you. Today I'm going to be walking you through the entire process of creating this parkour obby in just 10 to 15 minutes. And we'll begin with the basics like moving around, using parts, scaling, rotating, adding materials, colors, anchoring objects, and some other basic stuff. Then we'll build the actual game where we'll be creating different stages, and within those stages we'll be creating different puzzles with lasers, fake blocks, shark water, boats, NPC areas, car ramps, checkpoints, and much more. The best part about this game is whenever someone skips any stage, you will earn Robux with it. If you want to try out the game first, you can click the link down below in the description, check out the game, and get back to the video. With that said, let's begin our build. Alright, so to begin, the first thing you need to do is to download Roblox Studio. Simply open any of your browsers, search for Roblox Studio, click install Roblox Studio, and once you're done, sign in with your Roblox account and you will end up on the dashboard here. If you look on the left side, you will see a few different options. Just click on templates here and then select base plate, because we are going to make everything from scratch. That's why we are using this blank 3D space. Now, before we build anything, let's understand a few basics. By holding, right click on your mouse, you can move the camera around just like this. With W, S, A, and D, you can move the camera position. This is very similar to how you control your character in a game. Now, then we have Q and E. So with this, you can move the camera up and camera down. Next, we have some tools up at the top. And with the select tool, you can select any object in your 3D space. With the move tool, you can move any object in a specific direction using these arrows, or you can just move it freely just like this with this white dot in the middle. Next, we have this scale tool, and this lets you, scale the length, width, and height of an object. Then there's rotate tool, which lets you rotate your object on any axis. Also, if you change the rotation value here, for example, I'm going to set it to 15, it's going to rotate 15 degrees at one time. And then we have this part button here. From here you can select different parts to build different things. Later we'll see how to use it properly. Now, once you have any object, you can also change its material with this material button. So it could be a brick, a cardboard, a carpet, or many other materials. You can use it from here. Now, you can also change the color of any object with this color button. Then there's another important thing called anchor, and this is used to hold object on a specific place. So for example, if I place this block in the mid-air, it's going to fall on the ground as soon as the game starts. But with anchor enabled, it's going to stay on its position. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all you need to know for now. We'll discuss more things later in the tutorial. And now let's create our game. First, we'll create the stairs and a ramp. So basically the player climbs the stairs, jumps over the ramp, and then reaches to the main game area. So select a block from a path dropdown, increase its width. I'm gonna give it a rectangular shape and make it very large. From material, choose ground. Again, pick a new block, increase its width and height a bit. Change its material to cobblestone, and this is your first stair block. Make sure you have anchor enabled on both ground and the stair block. The next thing to do is to duplicate the block, so you can press Ctrl D or Command D, and then you can just move it and adjust its position and stack it on the top of the first block. Similarly, do it a few more times and your stairs are ready. Then there's this ramp, and for this you have to create a cylinder, increase its size and scale, and place it next to stairs. The material is rubber, and I'm going to change its color to something dark. Make sure anchor is enabled for this one too. At this point, this ramp is just a normal block and it doesn't have the ability to make the player jump. So in order to do that, click Explorer from the right side. Now if you don't see it here, you can click the Explorer from the Home tab, and then you can see this part as a separate layer inside of Explorer. First, I'm going to rename it to Bounce Pad. Then click the plus icon and select Script. Now we need to create a script that makes the player jump higher. Now I've added all the materials used in the description below, so you can check them out from there, or you can just go over to ChatGPT, ask it to write the code for you, and that's going to do the same. Once you have the script, you can also look at the values like up power and forward push, which are very similar to speed settings. You can then adjust these values to make player jump higher or lower depending on how far the main game area is. Alright, after that I'm gonna create a block again with anchor enabled and then make it very big, just like this. I'm gonna add some blocks below it so it gives a stage kind of look, and you can always test things out and make the adjustment accordingly. Now here's one thing I recommend doing at the very beginning of building any game is to add a flying and a higher speed ability to your player. Now what this does, it helps you test things inside the game. For example, if you want to reach the other end of the map, you have to walk all the way to, and it's gonna take a lot of time. Instead, just add a flying ability to your player and it's just for testing. Later, we'll just remove it. Okay, to do that, open Explorer, click on Starter Player and then Starter Player Scripts. Add a local script. Now simply paste the script inside it. So now if I run the game and then I have to press plus and then twice the minus key while holding shift. So it's gonna make my player fly. Similarly, if I press plus then 2 times minus while holding shift, it's going to disable the flying mode. You can change the flying speed depending on your game and the map size from the script here. You can also sprint while holding shift. Then moving on the top of this stage, we have to create a door using the same block by adjusting its length, height and position and rotation. Then the material I've used here is pavement. Next, pick a cylinder, make it like very thin and large and place it on the other side of the door. Change the material to neon and then give it a bright red color. Now I want this to work as a laser. Now you can find the code for the laser in the description once again. So simply paste this code inside the script of the cylinder and your laser is ready. Now simply duplicate it a few more times and cover the whole door. And then I'm gonna do it on the other side too. Next we'll create this start text, and for this we need a plugin. So if you look on the left side, you have this toolbox. In case if you don't see it, click on the toolbox at the top from homepage and it's gonna open right away. Now the toolbox is basically a store where you can find pretty much any asset for building. It can be different models, different shapes and almost anything you need. Just click on these 3 lines and then select plugins, then search for 3D text and then you need to install it from here. After that, at the top you have this plugins tab where you will see all of your installed plugins. Select 3D text and then click activate cursor and then place the text anywhere on the map. After that, changes text to start. Down here you can change the font, color and transform the text. And with the move tool you can place it above the door just like this. Next we'll pick a new block and create a floor. I'm gonna make it a slighter lifted above the ground. This is where we'll begin and create our first stage. Now on the edges I'm gonna add a new laser block and add a laser door from the toolbox. Create walls around it. For the next laser block, we'll create 2 laser traps, one that appears and disappears, and then the other which goes up and down. So just create 2 thick walls using blocks and then use a cylinder to create a laser holder. And for these, we need 2 scripts for each one. The first script will make the laser appear and disappear, and the other one will have the ability to, eliminate the player. You can use ChatGPT for this one too, or you can pick my scripts from the description. For the next one, we'll add a script that moves the laser up and down and add another script that eliminates a player. Also, you need to add this movement script to the holders as well because we want the holders to move alongside with the lasers. At any point, you can test things out and tweak the changes. Just do whatever looks best to you. Next, I'm going to create a block to climb up to the next area just like this. Just like we did with the stairs. Then we have this next part of the game which is going to be a parkour stage with some lasers in the middle. For this stage we need some truss ladders and of course some lasers again. Now you need to just search for trusses in the toolbox and you will find plenty of different trusses, so you can pick whichever you want. Here I've used this simple pillar first and then combine a 4 model, stack it in the mid-air, and then we have this 4 trusses model with a small gap in between so the player jumps around them. And lastly, there's this big stage truss, and on top of that we'll add some lasers to increase its difficulty. Okay, now I'm gonna add a rotating laser in the middle and make a path from the other side. Then I'm gonna add a simple laser and a moving laser next to it. For this moving laser, you can simply copy the previous one and bring it here. Once the player completes this stage, there will be a checkpoint. But for now, I'm just going to add a floor. Later, I'll show you how to add checkpoints. Alright, so we are done with the second stage. Next we have these fake block bridges. Now these are kind of similar to Squid Game, if you remember the glass bridge game. So one of them is a fake block and the other one is real. And at the end we have this big pool with too many sharks and some boats to escape it. You can find these blocks from the toolbox or you can just create your own. All you need to do is uncheck can collide feature from the one you want to make a fake block in the collision menu, and this will create a fake block. After that bridge, I've added this big ladder to reach the ground. Again, I've created a ground with a block and then added some water from the toolbox and make a boundary around it. I've also added these board docks with some working boards from the toolbox, and at the end I've created the drift ramp with a wedge. I've also created a boundary for the ramp as well. Then I've added some sharks that will follow the player as soon as it gets close to them, and these are from the toolbox as well. Now once the player escapes this shark trap, it's going to land on the ground, and there the final stage of the game begins. In this stage we have a lava path, then some large bricks to climb, and once the player reaches on the top, they will find ton of guard NPCs and a tunnel to escape through. After escaping the tunnel, we have this cool track with different cars on it and a ramp to jump the car on the other side. After that, I've created this tunnel with the track. I've added some barriers and then lights to make it look good. And at the very end, you will see this transparent glass where, when the player reaches to it, the game will complete it and it's going to teleport the player to the finish area. Now to break this down, this lava maze is from the toolbox, but you can also create in your own style. It's just simple blocks with the laser script. Then pick some blocks, increase its length, and then stack them in the mid-air just like this to create a path. After that, create a floor again. Then you can find these tunnels in the toolbox as well as the NPCs. And at the end of the tunnel, I have added this laser door, the same we added for the first stage. Then I've used another block to create a path that leads to the top of the tunnel, and then I've added a race track, and you can find it from the toolbox as well, but you have to first check if the car is drivable or not, then you need to put it right over here. On the other side, I've added the same track and created a big tunnel, so this way the player picks a car and reaches on the other side, and you can either use these assets or you can just make it in your own style. It's completely up to you. At the end, I've placed this big block, and when the player touches it, it's going to teleport it to another location. For this, I have this big tower and there's a floor, and I've added a breakable glass around it. Once everything is done and ready, it's time to finalize the game and publish it on Roblox. Now in the final part, we'll create checkpoints, so when the player dies, it is going to respawn on its previous location. We'll also be adding a skip stage feature, so if someone finds any stage difficult, you can jump directly to the next checkpoint, and this is going to earn you Robux. Then we'll be making the environment, such as adding trees, bushes, and some other models. We'll also create a finished game setup that ends the game once it's completed, and finally we'll publish it on Roblox. Alright, so let's set up checkpoints. In the Explorer, look for workspace, then click on the plus icon and create a folder. You have to rename it to checkpoints. Next, create a block, adjust its width and height, and make sure anchor is enabled. And I'm going to change its material to neon and its color is going to be red. You need to place it inside the checkpoint folder. Then rename this part to checkpoint 1, and I'm going to place it right before the first stage. After that, search for server script service. Click on the plus icon and select script. Then just paste the script over here. You can then duplicate the same part, rename it to checkpoint 2, and place it before the second stage. Repeat the same process for the remaining stages. So now the player spawns at the spawn location, and once they reach to the checkpoint, their progress is saved. Now let's create the finished game setup. First, select the block we created in front of the tunnel. By the way, I've used this force field material to it and give it a green color. Now you need to rename it to finish part. Next, I'm gonna select the floor of the tower and change its name to winner spawn. Now you need to add the script to finish part, and it's going to teleport the player to winner spawn. Now let's create a skip stage feature, and for this you basically need a developer product. Now if you don't know what a developer product is, it's not a game pass, it's something that players buys again and again and you will make money with it. I mean Robux. So first of all, go ahead, go over to roblox.com/create and then select dashboard. From here select your game, then locate monetization in the left panel, and under monetization you will find developer product. After that, simply create a product, name it skip stage, and set a pricing. Once you are done, save the changes. Next, you need to click on the three dots and copy the product ID. Head back to the Roblox Studio. Then you need to open Explorer, search for replicated storage, and click on the plus icon and then create a remote event. Rename it to skip stage event. Then search for starter GUI, click on the plus icon and then select screen GUI. Click on the plus icon again and then select text button. Rename it to skip stage button. Then open its properties, change its text to skip stage, and adjust this text size and some other settings as well. Now inside this button, add a local script and paste this script inside it. After that, go over to server script service, click on the plus icon and then select script. Then paste the script here. Then here you need to replace the local skip stage product ID with the actual one you copied from your developer product. And after that, the players can now skip to the next checkpoint for 5 Robux. For the environment, you can simply search for plants, trees, houses in the toolbox. You will find plenty of models that you can use for free. Just place them around the map, adjust their position, and you're good to go. Here I've used these trees, bushes, a tree house, a wooden house near the pool, and a helicopter model just to give the environment a nice look, along with the big wall at the end. Also, there's one thing I forgot to mention, that I've added these guns in some parts to kill the NPCs or sharks, and it's going to reduce the difficulty of the game. Lastly, I've added this lava floor. You can find it inside the toolbox as well. And with this, your game is now completed. To publish it on Roblox, click on File and then Publish on Roblox. You can give it a name, a description, check all the devices, and finally click Create. After that, head back to the dashboard, click on the three dots and then select Configure Experience. Then you can add a logo, a thumbnail, and select a genre and make sure it's set to public. Lastly, I'll just save the changes and you have your game ready on Roblox. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing and liking the video. If you got any questions, do let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.